In the Hollow Reach, the player character, having experienced the traumatic loss of both arms, enters into a virtual reality simulation called the Reach to learn how to use their new prosthetic limbs, only to discover they must also learn to navigate their emotions. The Reach draws its material for the therapy sim from the psychophantic content of the player character's memories and also dreams. This frame is inspired by the recent scholarship on using VR to aid in rehabilitation of sensoromotor cognition. However, to experience the recovery of these skills, the player must first lose them. This interactive digital narrative challenges the player character's physical and emotional recovery through a technique we call transfordance. Transfordance, or transformative affordance, is when game mechanics decenter normative embodied experience to create engagement through narrative framing. In other words, a transfordance decenters what was previously treated as normal affordances, decentering able-bodiedness to make this experience of VR a transformative encounter, challenging ableist norms. Using transfordant design, we have made mastering the prosthetic arms challenging for the player. However, the physical difficulty of manipulating the arms is only one challenge. Another is speech. To measure the player character's recovery, which is not in isolation but interpersonal, we use sensors to register their emotional state through speech actions, tracking particularly mood and tone. A final input is gaze. Even though virtual reality requires gaze, few projects use gaze itself as input. Confronting trauma means that you must face it, so our virtual recovery system demands that the user face other characters in an act of self-respect and courage. This project is not a fantasy of control, so even within the Reach recovery system, sometimes emotional crises can cause a breakdown of the fantasy and memory. That breakdown is the sign of the character's emotional struggle. Transfordance helps emphasize the way a process of physical recovery is also an emotional journey. Just as much about learning to overcome the emotions of traumatic loss as it is grappling with the machinery of prosthesis. The player must reach mastery of their new prostheses, learn to control or process their emotions, and must look with confidence into the eyes of those who dare them to recover, who may, in the course of encouraging them, push their buttons, triggering insecurities. For the player to recover through their own memories and fantasies, then mastering their prosthetic bodies will require their navigation of the final frontier, which is ultimately their own interior.